What significance did the plate of gold worn by the high priest have? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Exodus on Walking Through the Bible.
The glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Exodus 28. We're going to be reading from verses 31 to 39. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Exodus 28, beginning at verse 31. You shall make the robe of the ephod all blue. There shall be an opening for his head in the middle of it. It shall have a woven binding all around its opening, like the opening in a coat of mail, so that it does not tear. And upon its hem you shall make pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet, all around its hem, and bells of gold between them all around. A golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate, upon the hem of the robe all around. And it shall be upon Aaron when he ministers, and its sound will be heard when he goes into the holy place before the Lord, and when he comes out, that he may not die. You shall also make a plate of pure gold, and engrave on it, like the engraving of signet, holiness to the Lord. And you shall put it on a blue cord, that it may be on the turban. It shall be on the front of the turban. So it shall be on Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things which the children of Israel hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always on his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. You shall skillfully weave the tunic of fine linen thread. You shall make the turban of fine linen, and you shall make the sash of woven work. The entirety of chapter 28 has been dealing with the priestly garments. Under the law of Moses, the ability for the head of the household of each family to perform the function of the priest was going to change. For God was going to select one family to be priests in the tabernacle. That family would be the house of Aaron. Aaron would become the first high priest, with his 4 sons serving as priests with him. Following the death of Aaron, a new high priest from this family would be selected. And as they grew up, Aaron's grandchildren would serve as priests as well. This succession would continue as long as the law of Moses remained in effect. Nobody who wasn't of the house of Aaron could act as priests in the tabernacle. Thus far, we've been discussing the high priest's clothing that he was to wear in the tabernacle. We have discussed the ephod he was to wear with the 2 onyx stones bearing the names of the tribes of Israel on his shoulders. In the last 2 episodes, we've been discussing the breastplate of judgment, which would contain 12 different types of stones, each engraved with one of the tribes of Israel. This breastplate would be attached to the ephod by gold chains at the top and a blue cord on the bottom. In the breastplate would also be placed the Urim and the Thummim, through which God would give his judgments to the high priest, hence why this is called the breastplate of judgment. In today's episode, we move on to the rest of the high priest's attire. Underneath the ephod, the high priest was to wear a robe, which would serve as a coat or his outer garment. This robe was to be made of all blue. Unlike the ephod, which was made in 2 pieces and fastened together, the coat would be of 1 piece with an opening for the head in the middle. The opening was to have a woven binding all around, like the opening of a coat of mail, so that the robe didn't tear. Along the hem, there were to be made pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet, and in between each pomegranate there would be a golden bell. All around the robe, there would be rows of 2 pomegranates interspersed with 2 golden bells. These bells would obviously make noise, which is what was intended when he was in the holy place, that he may not die. If the high priest wasn't properly attired in the house of God, it is said in this verse that God would strike the high priest dead. So if the children of Israel didn't hear the bells upon the high priest in the tabernacle, they would know what has happened. Upon the head of the high priest was to be a gold plate or gold crown. This plate would not likely go all the way around his head, but only extend from ear to ear. Engraved upon it would be holiness to the Lord. This phrase, of course, testifies that the Lord is holy, but it also signifies that the high priest has been called by the Lord to his sacred duty, and therefore he is to be holy as well. The plate was to be attached by a blue cord to the front of a turban, which was made of fine linen. The gold plate represented the fact that Aaron bore the iniquities of the holy things which the children of Israel hallowed by their gifts. What this means is that the high priest was to be responsible for their conduct as the entire people, which is why he performed the services in the tabernacle. This plate was always to be upon his head, so that the nation of Israel might be accepted before the Lord. Along with the robe, the high priest would also wear a skillfully woven tunic of fine linen thread. We would think of this as a long shirt worn under the robe, serving as the high priest's inner garment. The attire would be completed by a sash of woven work that would be worn around the waist. All told, when fully dressed, here is a possible rendition of what the high priest would look like. Again, other drawings may look slightly different, but this is this artist's best guess. We'll conclude this chapter, the Lord willing, in the next episode, discussing the other priest's garments. With that, our time is up for today. Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Exodus 28, verses 40 to 43, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.
Of his cross.